Alright, the last series in this tutorial for Daz Studio, we're going to go over how to shape and morph your character, and then we're going to go over the different options for exporting. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the posing and shaping tab up here at the top, and we're then going to select the shaping tab over here on the right in the pane that pops up. And just for demo purposes, I'm going to select his head here, and I'll show you exactly what that does. Selecting his head will give you morphs and shapes. This is what I'm talking about when I say, you know, change the way he looks. I can make his hair longer. Alright, I can make his hair longer, I can make it shorter, and as you can see, the hair grows with the slider. I can also get more in depth and mess with his eyes and his pupils, and I can make him smile or nod or that sort of stuff. Excuse me. So that's the basics of morphing. It's very simple. It's just dragging sliders back and forth. So the next thing I want to go over real quickly is the export process. So the way exporting works with Daz, exporting usually works through several different plugins. There's 3 different formats that are useful for us. The first one is OBJ, a wavefront object file, and that's usually good for static, static type of models that don't have a whole lot of animation attached to them. Collada is good for, really that's a universal type of format that a lot of different applications use and that sort of thing. And then FBX, which is an Adobe format, but with 3ds Max, Motion Builder, and the other tools that you should be using along with what DeVry's given you and everything else, FBX is probably one of the most powerful of the formats, because it's going to do things specifically for Adobe that you would have to normally do manually or do yourself for like the Collider or object files. Unfortunately, the FBX exporter is a plugin that's usually a paid plugin. You have to pay for it. The issue with that is when you first start Daz Studio 4, you actually have, even though you downloaded the full version, it comes with a lot of trials for different plugins. It comes with an FBX plugin trial, and what that's going to allow you to do is to export in the FBX format for like 30 days or something like that. And you can experiment with that. Maybe you can get all of your work done that you need to do in Daz within 30 days, and that's great. Unfortunately, I don't have that plugin at the moment, so I can't show you how to do the FBX export, but it's fairly self-explanatory. For the FBX export, you pretty much leave everything default and export it, and you don't really have to worry about it. But we're going to go over the other types of exporting here. We're going to go over wavefront. So I'll type in Mike here for my, and that's going to bring up the export options pane. So a couple things we're going to go over here. The first, the scale. Scale can be pretty much whatever you want. In my experience, 4.5% seems to look good and act correct in the 3ds Max models that I've used. However, I've also done things at 100% or 1%. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever's comfortable for you. The next thing is the axis conversion. For 3ds Max, it seems like the X, Z, and Y axis that's the format that it's in. So instead of XYZ, you got to put XZY, and that's going to make it show up in 3ds Max correctly. Excuse me. The next thing we're going to go over is the ignore visible nodes. That needs to be checked. Use bone welds. Usually it doesn't need to be checked. You can. That's for more animation and things of that nature. In my experience, OBJ doesn't work with animation all that well in comparison to FBX or Collada, but you can try it. Remove unused vertices. I always check that just so that we can, kind of get those vertices that aren't really being used out and save those polys. The next thing is write UV coordinates. This is for textures. You definitely want that checked. Write normals. You definitely want that checked. And write object statements. That needs to be checked as well. Write groups should be checked with use node names as the filter. And write surfaces should be checked along with write material library. And what I usually do is collect the maps. And what that's going to do is collect all of the maps, all of the textures in one folder, so it's easier for you to import it back into 3ds Max later. Just go ahead and hit accept, and it's going to go ahead and export that. Alright. Okay, the next thing we're going to go over is exporting in a Collada format. So again, we'll name it Mike, and we'll hit Collada in this drop down menu right here. It's a DAE. We'll hit save, and it's going to bring up this export window. By default, the options are hidden, so you press show individual settings, and that will unhide them. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to export it in Collada. It's a little bit different options. This particular one will definitely want to collect the maps. We do not want to invert the alpha image usually, and the combine alpha and diffuse maps, I usually don't do that. Emerge materials by diffuse map, I usually don't do that either. However, I have seen some videos in which they do to kind of compile the textures into smaller files. I've had issues with this option, so I don't recommend it. Remove unused vertices, I always check that. Ignore invisible nodes, I check that. Bake the scale, I also leave that checked, and that's going to take care of that scaling option that I had in the other OBJ, and this will just export into 3ds Max, and you'll be able to scale it in 3ds Max the way you need it to. Merge skeletons. If there's several different skeletons attached to this for animating purposes, we'll want to check that, but I usually don't do animation in DAZ Studio, so I don't have to worry about it. Again, with animation here, you can check it, and you can, you can check it and export whatever animation you did in here, but again, I usually don't, because I don't do animations within DAZ Studio. So we'll set that up, we'll hit accept, and that's going to export it over to DAZ Studio, or sorry, over to Collada for 3ds Max. So we'll get that set up, and then all you have to do is open up 3ds Max and import it into 3ds Max like you normally would. And then we'll there's several tutorials on how to use Panda.x exporter, which will allow you to export things into the .x format for DirectX. So actually this video is running a little bit long, so I'm going to leave it off at that. But you basically want to remember that the more content that you have for DAZ, the more different type of you basically want to create probably 15-20 different models for a larger game, and those models can be based off of Michael or Victoria, and you just have to customize them, and then once you export them into 3ds Max or Motion Builder, all of the accessories that you attach to them will animate with them. So you've turned one model into hundreds of thousands different combinations with this piece of software. So, alright, well I appreciate you watching, and if there's any questions, just let me know, shoot me an email. That's nascarjake@gmail.com, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.